One of the best concerts I saw in 2019 was definitely seeing Sebastian Bach play the entire first Skid Row record. He absolutely crushed it. And quick primer on Skid Row if you need it. Their 1989 self-titled debut record goes 5 times platinum on the back of 2 major smash hits, 18 and Life, and I Remember You, which both went top 10. Now, it's kind of shocking to me that Youth Gone Wild, their first single, that was a big hit video on MTV, but it barely makes the top 100 on Billboard, which doesn't seem possible. Brian Rowley, would you agree?
Yeah, Youth Gone Wild it's been Skid Row's and Sebastian's basically set closing song for over 30 years now. I mean, it's one of their most iconic songs, if not the most. But I think back then there was more of a delineation between the Billboard Hot 100 and the rock charts, and so back then you could have a huge rock smash that was a big video MTV hit that didn't necessarily have a good showing on the Hot 100. But still, it's crazy. I mean, I think it hit like 99, which is still super low, considering how well known that song is.
Yeah, it's such a consolation prize. Like, you know what? Not only are you not going to make the top 40 or whatever, it's going to come in right at 99, so you're going to barely scrape making the top 100 at all. So
exactly.
Well, Sebastian's out touring presently, playing the entire Slave to the Grind record, and you got to see that show the other night. So what were some of your favorite moments from the show?
Well, first of all, I'm just going to say every time that Sebastian is in town, or more accurately, every time he's like an hour and a half south of me, because I always end up traveling from Austin to San Antonio. It's like my annual pilgrimage. It's always a blast. It's just like the rock and roll circus comes back to town, and Sebastian, still an amazing voice, great stage presence. I really enjoyed hearing him do Beggar's Day. He really crushed it on that one. Which, I like that song. It's not one of my favorites on Slave, but I was just all the more pleasantly surprised by it. We had a great crowd down there. There was like a group of probably like 20-year-olds next to us who were just like moshing and going nuts to every song. But the whole room started singing Wasted Time with him when he broke into it. And then at the end, when he's hitting all the crazy high notes, and I guess on the record what would be Rachel's backup vocals, the sun will rise again, that part, the whole crowd was singing that underneath him and like harmonizing with him, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, and I think it's always interesting too. You mentioned Wasted Time. Like, it's always interesting to see, like, with a full album show like that, like, what is the crowd going to react to? Like, I think sometimes but sometimes, I mean, I wouldn't guess that that's going to be a moment where they're going to just go nuts. And would you agree on that?
Same, yeah. Like, Sebastian prefaces that song a lot, saying it was huge in Brazil, and I've seen some videos of them playing it down there, and it went off. But I always kind of just thought I was like, in the minority of people who really, really love that song. Obviously, it's a great tune, but I didn't know how big of a fan base it had. But I think songs like that, they kind of develop a reputation because it's like, of all his ridiculous vocals, that's probably the wildest one. And I think there's just a ton of diehard Skid Row and Sebastian fans who have been wanting to hear him tackle that live. So I think this tour is a really special treat for them and myself. So it was awesome that we were all on the same page at the show.
Yeah, you talk about his vocals, and like, there's no better way. I mean, number one, he's Canadian to begin with, but there's no better way to like show off those vocals a little bit more than by covering Tom Sawyer by Rush. Like, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was, I did not expect that to happen, because he was talking about, this is for Eddie Van Halen, this is for Charlie Watts, this is for Neil Peart. And then the band broke into the song, and my friend and I were both like, okay, so this is going to last like 10 or 20 seconds. He'll maybe do like one chorus. But then he just kept going, and he pretty much did the whole song, even though he didn't start at the very beginning of the song. But, he just keeps playing, and I'm like, okay, well, this is not an easy song, so the band is not just doing this as like a bit or like a riff. Like, they obviously had to work out the parts and learn this song. It's not something that you just rattle off as a joke. So clearly they rehearsed this, and it was awesome. Yeah, one of 2 covers that he played that night. The other one being "All My Exes Live in Texas" by George Strait.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. Like, he doesn't get into that in the interview as far as his drummer, does he? If he does, we'll leave it for that.
Yeah, he mentions it briefly.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, long story short is Bobby Jarzambek, I think I pronounced that right, his longtime drummer
Yep.
and a San Antonio native. He's not on the road with Sebastian this time because he's touring with quote this little known guy you might have heard of named George Strait, as Sebastian put it.
That's so fantastic. Well, that's one of the reasons that we're here talking today is that you spoke with Sebastian, and he, as I mentioned, he's out touring, playing the entire Slave to the Grind record, and there's just this analogy of going from black and white to color that seems to fit when you're talking about the progression that Skid Row made from their first album to the music that they were making on the Slave to the Grind record. Like, I mean, that record's heavy. Not that, like, and this kind of came back to me like watching Skid Row's performance at the Moscow Music Peace Festival. It's not like they were a light band on that first album. They were just like throwing down even on that first record. But second record, I think they really, really, really captured how heavy that band was in the studio.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've always maintained that the first Skid Row record even is like barely a glam metal record. It's just a really slamming hard rock record, kind of in the vein of Appetite for Destruction. But yeah, there were still some moments on that, songs like Can't Stand the Heartache and Making a Mess. They were just like a little frothier, a little elements of some bubblegum in there, but the band had the chops and the aggressiveness to make up for that. It was still a super heavy and well done album, but I really think they completely came into themselves on Slave to the Grind. I mean, all the stuff that had already been cooking on the first album, they just kicked it all up a notch and really honed in on the sound, and they didn't make any concessions on that album either. The album was still a big success, but it sold about half as much as the self-titled album did, and I think they kind of all anticipated that. I think Michael Wagner kind of even warned them. He's like, look, there's not like an I Remember You on here. Even the power ballads, when they are there, I mean, they're these really dark, brooding, sophisticated songs, and the lyrics are like, about social rot and addiction and political corruption and all this stuff. There's no like, I love you, you love me sort of track on that album. But I mean, it's just an uncompromising record, no skips on that one at all.
I think they did okay too, because that record debuts at #1 on the Billboard charts, the first album by a heavy metal band to do that. So like, they did all right.
Clearly, yeah. I mean, it was wild. That was like the summer of '91 had so many amazing rock records. We had Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion, the Black Album, Blood Sugar Sex Magik, Slave to the Grind.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bad Motorfinger.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like album after album. And I would always put Slave to the Grind in that conversation. That's probably my favorite one from that year.
Yeah.
But it absolutely deserves to be, and mentioned in the same breath as these other legendary rock records.
All right. So when it comes to this chat that you had with Sebastian, which Sebastian, I think, used the term rock and roll circus coming to town. The rock and roll circus was in good form. So what, I guess, are some of your favorite moments or your favorite moment from this chat that you had with Sebastian?
Well, I don't want to belabor the political aspect of the conversation because, we're going to be promoting that on the site and stuff too, but certainly there was plenty of that. He didn't mince any words for bands and for concert goers who are anti-Joe Biden or anti-vax or don't want to trust the science. I think his exact words were, I went online and I tweeted some controversial stuff like 2 + 2 = 4 and the earth is round. And people lost their minds because of that. So that stuff we get into it more at length elsewhere. I thought that was obviously hysterical. I was just cracking up the whole time. But as far as talking about the tour and the actual album, I thought it was really fascinating that he said he's kind of reinterpreting some of these songs a little bit on the road to make it more doable. Because I mean, come on, he's 53 years old, singing some of the hardest songs ever, still in their original key. And he said, look, man, I couldn't go up on stage and sing this record in one shot, even back when we made it. That was never the point. This album was always supposed to be a studio creation where we were going as hard as we possibly could in the studio. I mean, he even kind of likened it to albums like The Wall and Sgt. Pepper's as far as like, these are not meant to be recreated note for note on stage. And so I thought the fact that he acknowledged that was cool, but also the fact that he's still doing a pretty close approximation of them every night is really admirable.
Yeah, I like that. That was another part I liked in the interview. I do like his honesty in saying that because there are a lot of people that won't own up to the fact that, like, look, I couldn't even do this back then. And for him to say that, it's not like he falls short. Like, I mean, Sebastian, like, not quote unquote not being able to do that is still like light years better than a lot of singers of his era that just flat out could not reproduce what they had done in the studio. So not shabby at all.
No, seriously. I mean, basically, he's just saying, like, I was, maybe in the running for the best male singer alive at that time. And so if I couldn't do that, then there's no hope for anybody.
Yeah, nice. All right, let's not hold people up any longer. We're going to get right into this here. Here is Brian's interview with Sebastian Bach.
You've been on the road, what, like a week now with this tour?
Something like that, a little more maybe. I've done a couple of shows before this tour, getting ready, and then I really started getting ready when we hit the road, because this is a very ambitious 3-month US tour, which is, as far as I know, I don't see any other bands going out. I mean, Kiss is out there. But every time I turn on the news, it's another band canceling their tour. And we're the only knuckleheads still doing it, I guess. But we're all healthy, and we've done 4 shows so far, and everybody's safe. And so far, it's normal touring. And, I don't want to jinx anything. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor like a lot of people on the internet seem to want to do. But I do listen to doctors. I actually do listen to what doctors say. And I check the news every morning. And lately, the news has been that the COVID cases seem to be going down. And we might actually be turning a corner in the fight to get back to normal. And if it keeps going like that, we're on tour at a really good time if it keeps going in that direction. So that's what I'm hoping for. I got my mask here.
Oh, hell yeah. I love it. Is that a rock and roll over mask?
Yeah, I have the best fans. I put on the internet, I put up there, I want rock and roll over masks. I got a fucking bunch of them in the mail. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's better timing than it could have been for you guys to be out. I mean, I remember, I guess it was back in July. It was like the Delta variant came back with a vengeance, and a lot of bands were canceling tours. And I mean, that's right when you said that you had gotten sick with COVID. And so it was the whole industry, it was looking pretty bleak for everybody right then. So I'm glad that, things seem to be maybe on the upswing now, and happy to see that you're in good health now.
Thank you. Well, we're in the unknown right now. This is totally like it. This is touring in space. I just say this could all change at any moment, and all my objective is to get to the end of December with all the shows completed. That's my mission. And Guns N' Roses just completed a tour. Kiss is completing their tour. So I'm gonna try to complete mine. That's all I can do.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, we don't know me. I don't know about other bands. I see some bands are having meet and greets. We haven't figured that out yet. I don't I don't know if I need like a plastic bubble to roll around in, or
I think Kiss has like a shield. It's like they look like they're in a museum exhibit, and you pose in front of the Shield for the Kiss meet and greet.
Well, I was saying to my tour manager, dude, I could just use the drum shield. You know, sometimes when you play a venue that's too small, you have that drum plastic shield.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just fucking get in there. It'll be perfect.
Nothing gets through those things. They are so thick
Right.
and so heavy.
Yeah, but I'm not even doing meet and greets right now. Maybe I will in the future, like coming up in the coming weeks. But right now, I'm just wanting to get the shows done, and I don't want to jeopardize anything as far as getting the show done. So come meet and greet me at another time. But maybe we will get it going. We just haven't done that yet.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
How's it felt to be back on the road, physically and emotionally?
Well, it's a dream come true because I had many recurring dreams during 2020 of being on stage, going to a gig. I had this reoccurring dream many times that Skid Row was reforming for a gig, and I was coming to the show. It was a big fucking deal. It was a big event. And then I'd get to the show and I'd be getting ready to do it. And I would look in my gig bag and I forgot my in-ears. And I would say to everybody, hey man, listen, I'm really sorry, but I got to go back to the hotel and get my in-ears. Everybody's like, and then in my dream, I'm by myself, like in an Uber, going to my hotel room to get my fucking ears. And I come back and I'm getting out of the car and I can hear the intro tape going and it's like the show's starting and I'm fucking, so I had many dreams of doing gigs, like really a lot. So doing gigs right now, I'm still in the mindset of I'm so lucky to be able to be playing shows right now and not being stuck at home. I'm fucking sick and tired of watching Netflix. I've watched all of Netflix. I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole of Netflix, as I'm sure many of you have, but I'm just, that's not natural. It's not natural for people to be stuck in their homes for a year and a half. So for me to be able to play concerts and sing rock and roll with my friends and get on the bus and just live that life, I feel beyond lucky right now. Thank you for anybody coming out to these shows. I really appreciate it because it's crazy times. But as I said before, the doctors are saying on TV that we might be actually turning a corner here. So come on out and rock. I know you've been waiting a long time.
Yeah. I saw, I think it was on your Instagram, you had some footage from, I think that Waterloo, New York gig.
Yeah.
I mean, that looked like a wild crowd.
It was a wild crowd. There's an energy that you know, people have been cooped up and they want to get out and have fun, you know. And I was like, I was reading the comments to that clip I posted. Some jackass goes, I have a hard time believing this is a crowd from a Skid Row show. And I go, does it ever fucking end, this misery called the internet? And I go, hey man, can you read the captions? This is 3 days ago. I got kicked out of that band in 1996. It's hard for you to fathom, but this is my crowd now. So fucking deal with it. Like, sorry to break it to you, but this has nothing to do with 1996 or 1989. This is what's happening right fucking now. So
it's been a literal quarter of a century and they're still hung up on it.
They thought like I switched the video footage, like I give a shit, like I have time to think about that. Like, it's like, oh my God, like Get it through your head, man. People want to rock and accept no substitutes is what I would say to you, the public.
I love it, man. I also love your Twitter is a fun one to watch. I like that you don't shy away from putting the jackasses in their place, and the anti-vaxxers and the science deniers, and I like that you single them out when they deserve it.
Well, sometimes I've had a couple glasses of wine and I end up deleting a lot of things in the morning. But that's entertaining too. Maybe you could tell that when you're, oh, he's fucked up again, man. That's entertaining.
It's rock and roll, baby.
I just think for any meathead, ignorant musician that wants to get their crowd chanting "fuck Joe Biden," okay, anybody who wants to do that, I could say fuck you and your band, and fuck the guy that came before Joe Biden, and I don't need to speak about it anymore. But Joe Biden is a old man who has nothing but good intentions for the country, okay? And there's nothing to not like about him. He's trying his hardest to get us back to normal instead of the shit show that took away rock and roll from us in 2020 and our kids' school and everything that we know about America. Joe Biden has made America great again, and he's constantly under attack for no reason. For what reason? Like, I don't understand why somebody would take a vaccine for polio, but they won't take a vaccine for COVID. What's the fucking difference? What is the fucking, like, what? You don't like this disease, but you're okay with this disease. Like, what? That's, I don't get it. I don't understand. So I had a job to do, really, is the way I saw it, because I was stuck in my house and I had to get the fuck out of my house. I was like, what can I do to get out of my house? And I was like, holy shit, I have 500,000 people that follow me here on Twitter. And that's quite a big amount of people. So I just, I put out really controversial tweets like 2 + 2 = 4. Or the sky is blue. Oh, no, it's not. This is some bullshit. Look at the earth is round. That's not what I saw on YouTube. It's like, it's just fucking.
Yeah, come on, man. Haven't you done your own research? Haven't you done your deep dives?
Fuck doing your own research. How about you let the doctors go to medical school, and that's where they're doing the research for 12 years or whatever it is. You're not going to find out something different on YouTube at nighttime when you're passing out. Like, it's a nightmare. Like, I don't know what to say, but I don't know I just think basically, if you're taking a vaccine for polio, why wouldn't you take a vaccine for COVID? Like, explain the logic in that to me, please. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Hell, you and I, we're on the same page, man.
All I want is for things to go back to normal. I hope that happens. That's all I want. That's my only objective. As soon as Joe Biden was elected president, I never mentioned the other guy ever again. If you look at my Twitter, I flick the switch. I go, I'm fucking done with that shit. Like, because that's not who I am. I'm not out to be having political headlines with my face next to them all the time. But when you hit them with hardcore shit like 2 + 2 = 4, like, that's like, I mean, those are fighting words to some people. If you hit them with shit like math, like, look out. You're crossing the line, man. Math, science. Oh my God, that's.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, the temperature of the Earth has gone up every year numerically in the temperature 110, 111, 112. What year is it too much? Is 144 degrees, 160? Like, oh, but there's no such thing. Well, okay. If the temperature, the number goes up, that's global warming, you fucking jackass. If the number rises on the thermometer, that means it's getting warmer. Am I wrong? Explain to me how that's not the globe warming when the temperature rises. I know it's crazy. It's fucking.
And then they say
You hit him with that. It's on, man. It's fucking on. Like.
Then they hit you with hey Baz, stick to singing. I won't be recording anymore. I'm burning road cassettes.
And then I just say, stick to following every fucking word I say. Like I'm not following you, you fucking idiot. You fucking stick to singing. Thanks for the follow. Like.
Yeah. Also, I like the, in those extreme cases, the like, I'm gonna throw away my CDs or my shirt. Well, you already got their money. Who gives a shit?
You're allowed to do whatever the fuck you want with it. I got paid. Enjoy your paperweight. Like, go knock yourself out. Buy another one. Go for it. You'll have two.
Oh, man.
I just think the internet, I gotta be honest with you, like we see this stuff about Facebook and the whistleblower and what it does to kids. It's just really like, I use the internet for my own purposes as far as promoting my band. I had to get out of the house. I needed a president that believed in math and science and all those radical ideas. And so I just went to work on my Twitter, and it worked. Thank you.
And now here you are, out for three months on this Herculean tour you've got planned.
Yeah, and it feels like a dream. It really is a dream, and I'm also really physically I've changed my whole way of living, because in the pandemic I really didn't care about anything. I was miserable, like, to be honest with you. I'm probably speaking for other people. I was okay month number 1, month number 2, but month number 8 and month number 9,
month number 13 and 14,
I was going fucking cuckoo, like. But and I just didn't really care. But now I do. Now I do, and I have for a couple months now. I've really started caring again, and kind of trying to be healthy, which I was not in the pandemic. So, and I also see all the time, our bands are leaving us, and David Lee Roth's retiring, and Kiss say they're going to be done by next year. So I do feel a responsibility to the fans and to rock and roll, to have respect for the stage and shit. And that's what I'm doing. I'm giving it all I can. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's wild to think about, but there aren't many guys who came up in the 60s and 70s who are out on the road doing it anymore.
No.
So, you and, the guys in Guns N' Roses, and you guys are kind of becoming like the stewards of this whole thing.
Well, who else really, I mean, I don't see a lot of bands coming up that are going to replace that, because too many of them rely on tapes, and that's not going to last the test of time. There's going to be a time when those tape bands are going to have to do it for real, and people are going to go, this is a fucking joke. And I just know that real musicians hit your heart way more hard than guys miming to a tape, and it's easy to tell who's doing what. So I think it's a dying art, definitely. I don't think kids realize the amount of time they need to put in if they want to become like an Eddie Van Halen or a Neil Peart. The hours of practice Eddie and Neil put into their craft, or like I heard Eddie always had a guitar in his hand. If he was awake or even asleep, he would sleep with a guitar. But to be able to play the drums like Neil Peart, you can't imagine the hours of playing your drums. Like, I don't think Neil Peart and Eddie Van Halen, they weren't locked in their bedroom playing video games for 12 hours a day. That shit didn't exist. They were locked in a room with their instrument. Although Neil's is pretty loud. So, but I don't think people coming up now realize the amount of time and effort it takes to become good. Like, I've been doing interviews all day, and after this, I'm going down on the bus and I'm going to sing for an hour and a half, and it's a day off, but I know how to do this, and my voice sounds better the more I sing it properly. And I don't really take days off. Like, I'll go do scales and I'll just keep the throat going and keep the rock rolling. That's what I'm doing.
I love it. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was wondering, what kind of practice regimen goes into a tour like this. I mean, none of your songs are easy to sing, but I would venture that the Slave to the Grind album is probably some of the craziest singing you've ever done.
Yeah, it's a lot of screaming. It really is. Like the first album is more singing. Mm-hmm. Slave is more screaming, and there is singing on Slave too, but like a song like Living on a Chain Gang, that's like an endurance test. That's just fucking as hard as I can go for 3 or 4 minutes. But I'm telling you this right now, I'm doing this because it's the 30th anniversary, and you don't get too many of those anniversaries, and this tour ends in late December. Mm-hmm. January 1st, we will not be doing the Slave to the Grind album. And this is it right here until there's another anniversary or some other event. But if you like that record and you want to hear stuff like Creep Show and Mud Kicker, and if that shit turns you on, now is the time for you. Because come December 31st, there's a whole new plan coming in.
Yeah.
From me, a whole new thing.
Hell yeah.
So we're doing this right now because it actually is the 30th anniversary, 1991, 2021. So we are celebrating. Yeah.
What have you got a favorite song from the deep cuts that you've dusted off that you've enjoyed singing the most so far?
Well, I don't want to tell you that because it's not appropriate, but I gotta say there's two, I would say. One of them is Beggar's Day, which is on the Slave to the Grind album. There was 2 versions of the record. One had a bad word in it. It was called "Get the Fuck Out." So the record company said none of the stores are going to carry this record because of that title. And so we had another song called "Beggar's Day," which I thought was a far better song anyways. So we made half of them with the bad word song and half of them without. And the song "Beggar's Day" is kind of mind-blowing because the lyrics say, "Susie got an Uzi, what a beautiful bride. That's where the trouble began. Will there be a resurrection or a bloody insurrection? It's only up to Suzanne with a load of ammunition in her hand." That's the first verse. This was written in 1991, and I married a girl named Suzanne. That's my wife. That's my bride. And there just was an insurrection. And I was thinking, like, going, these are weird lyrics. And I'm singing the word Suzanne like on stage, and that's my wife's name. So that's pretty trippy for me that all was written so long ago, and now I'm doing it. Because we never really did it in Skid Row. I'm doing that now. And the other song that I really love to do, and I probably might even get in trouble for saying this, is "Get the Fuck Out." And we don't do the whole song. I don't sing all the lyrics because some of them are atrocious, and I can't sing some of those words, especially now, and even then I didn't like them either, but that chorus is fun and very funny. It's very humorous, and the crowd loves to sing "Get the Fuck Out." It's just fun. It's funny, and we don't do it the way it is on the record. We change it a little bit, but I have fun doing that song, and I never thought I'd say that, but it's fun. It's a fun chorus.
Yeah. I think I saw that you ended one of your shows last week with it, which
it's really funny, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
it's an inspired choice for a final song to the audience. We all got to go home at some point, so get the fuck out.
You asked, and I really do have fun doing that. So what can I say?
I love that. That's great. Who are you playing with in the band these days? I see some new cats behind you on stage.
There's only one new guy. On guitar, I got Brent Woods, who I've had for 10 years or more. Mm-hmm. And he's an incredible performer, great guitarist, great friend. Rob DeLuca on the bass from the band UFO, and I've also played with him for many, many years. And on drums, we do have a new drummer.
Okay.
Because my other drummer, Bobby Jarzambek, some up and coming guy named George Strait hired him. I don't know who this George Strait fella is. You know, maybe I gotta have a word with him. You know, stealing my drummer, man. Like, you know. I'm just joking. We're very happy for Bobby. He's a Texan, and playing with George Strait as a musician from Texas is like joining the Beatles if you're from Liverpool. So we're very happy for Bobby. He also still plays with us sometimes, but I was very fortunate to meet Jeremy Colson, who was from the band, is still playing with Steve Vai. And Jeremy is incredible. He's a mind-blowing drummer, and he's very good friends with me. So George Strait stole Bobby, so I stole Jeremy from Steve Vai, but Bobby still plays with me, and Jeremy still plays with Steve Vai. So figure it out.
Nice. Well, you and Bobby and George were all in the same neck of the woods last weekend. George was playing at ACL on either Friday or Saturday, right before you played in Cedar Park.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think ACL is a little bit bigger venue than the one in Cedar Park. I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on that.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's quality of crowd over quantity of crowd. Am I
Okay. I'll keep telling myself that. Thank you.
right? Man, that's great. So, I kind of feel like I've seen a few videos from the tour so far. And, honestly, I feel like you're singing some of these songs better now than you were
Jeez.
doing them in 91.
Wow. Well, that's a very nice thing to say. That's really cool of you to say that. I'm still figuring it out because I don't use tapes or any backing tracks. So I'm really figuring out how to do it without destroying my throat. And I am figuring it out. I wish you would wait a little bit longer, watch videos, but I don't have any control over that. So that ship has sailed, man. You get to watch whatever you want, but
Yeah.
I think in a week or two, I'll even have more of a handle on it because I'm not doing it exactly like the record. I'm 53 years old. I couldn't do that when I did the record. There's no way for me to just walk up there and totally do it exactly like the record. It's impossible. So I'm interpreting it for me now, but there was never a time in my life that I could have walked up and done that record just one shot. That album is a studio creation that is, us pushing ourselves to the maximum. And I never had a problem doing stuff in the studio that might be impossible to do live, because to me, making a record is not the same as doing a show. To me, doing like Pink Floyd The Wall or Sgt. Pepper's, those are amazing records. The Beatles never came out and did Sgt. Pepper's with all the, sound and all this stuff. They made a record and then they went and did a show. It's two different things, but I'm trying my hardest to do it the best I can. And the difference you might hear is back in 1991, there was no such thing as in-ear monitors.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to ask. I'm wondering if you can actually hear yourself better as you're singing these songs now. Yeah.
Yes, I can. And I also don't have it blaring loud. I have it at a comfortable volume, because when I'm looking at 3 months of shows, I'm not going to hurt my ears. There's no way. I'm not going to sacrifice my hearing for rock and roll. No matter how much I love rock, sometimes it is too loud and sometimes you are too old.
Well, if you want to be in this for the long game, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, but I don't want to have tinnitus where I'm going to sleep and I want quiet and I hear ringing. Like I don't want none of that shit. I just want to be able to go, on a walk and hear the water rushing in the brook, or go skiing and hear the sound of the snow and I can't imagine a life where I couldn't hear things or listen to music. That's not an option. So I don't play it so loud as I used to. Sorry, Ted Nugent. Sorry, let you down. Sorry.
Incidentally, the first time, this is probably 10 years ago, the first time I ever had that ringing in my ears after a show, and I realized, oh shit, I got to take care of my hearing and start wearing protection at shows, is when I saw you in Allentown, Pennsylvania at the Crocodile Rock Cafe.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Hey, not your fault. I don't think anyone left that venue with their ears intact. It was like the dankest club in the area, but But hey, you
Yeah.
sounded great.
Well, I'm glad you could hear it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I got my ears tested like about 10 years ago, and my doctor said, "Well, Sebastian, your ears are fine. You have a little dip in the treble high end, which all of you musicians have. You all have a little dip up in the high end." He goes, "But your ears are fine right now." He goes, "But if you don't start turning down the music now, in 10 years from now, you will wish that you did." And I started crying because he was telling me that I had to turn it down, or in 10.
New messages received from Ryan Goldbacher, FOH Audio.
So I listened to him, obviously. And he also sucked out, he has this machine where he can clean your ears out of all the junk that's been in there. And I had so much junk in my ears that when he sucked it all out, I had vertigo, and I couldn't walk. Like, I was like, that's how much shit was in there. And I could hear totally clear. And so I did turn it down. And I'm happy to say that now when I go see him, he's like, "Your ears are totally healthy," and that makes me really happy. But what happened when I turned the music down is that my taste in music kind of changed a bit. Like all of a sudden, like, I love the station Yacht Rock Radio.
Oh yeah.
I love that station because when you turn it down, you can hear it a little better.
And some of those songs, they've got some pretty cool instrumentation going on once you tune in. Some great.
Well, I love all the vocals of all those songs. And I love the production of all those songs, and all of those vocals, like "Baby Come Back" by Player, or the Doobie Brothers, or Steely Dan. There's no Pro Tools or fake vocal. It's all real, and it sounds so great to me, like as a singer. So that was a weird thing. Yeah, I like clean singing, like Rob Halford or Steve Perry. Halford goes very dirty too, but to me, the sound of a clean note to me is like the money. I like dirty singing too, but I much prefer clean singing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're doing songs like Quicksand Jesus, and you're hitting that really strong vibrato in the verses, it's like you can tell that you did your time and studied classical singing and like did the work. Like that's not just loud singing for the sake of it. That's practice there.
You just reminded me that when I was doing that record, Slave to the Grind, I was practicing to Whitney Houston. I was right when that Slave to the Grind album was being recorded. Whitney Houston sang the national anthem at the football game, the Star Spangled Banner, and I bought the fucking single. And I used to sing the national anthem, Whitney Houston version, and I could do it. I should fucking fire that up again. I don't know if I still have it, but I used to practice to Whitney all the time.
Man, wild.
And I'm a dude.
Yeah, that's an ambitious practice tape.
Yeah. Maybe
you can do that as like your pre-show music at some shows.
No, I don't think that would go well with Slave to the Grind, really.
No. I mean, so you mentioned, you said that was very obviously like you guys intended for that record to be a studio creation and to push yourselves really hard when you were making it. But I mean, was it basically, how difficult was it for you to put down those vocals on that album at the time?
Well, I actually blew my voice out recording that record, which I had never done before, really. Well, no, that's not true. I had. But that's rare for me. I don't do that really. But recording the song "Wasted Time," I was trying to scream as high and as long and as loud as I could, and I made myself like hoarse to the point where I couldn't sing gently the next day. I could only yell, and that was a big problem. So I told Michael Wagner I wanted to rest my voice for a week or two. And he said, okay. So we flew out to Los Angeles, and I ended up finishing the record there after I rested my voice. But that's the fine line I was talking about. I was trying to push my voice as hard as I could. But sometimes you can push it too hard. And this record is a great example of that.
Yeah.
But as I said before, my hero singing, probably the biggest one, is Rob Halford. And when I listen to Judas Priest and I listen to the way Rob sings, to me it's otherworldly. It's I don't understand how he can sing that range and that piercing fucking Halford tone. So that's I'm trying to compete with guys like that. Like those are some serious pipes. So.
I mean, the thing with Rob is like, it's not even like he has to ramp up to the high notes. He'll just be singing in his mid range and just out of nowhere.
No, and I think it's some sort of weird falsetto, like diphthong thing he does, but it sounds 100% full voice. Like, so I don't understand what's going on there. He's a freak of nature to be able to hit those notes for sure. Like, really, and he still can. He comes out there with a cane, but then he fucking belts out those notes. It's like, I'll take the cane. I got no problem with that.
Yeah. Freaking unreal. I'm not surprised that Wasted Time was the song that did it for you when you were recording that. I mean, the last minute of that song is I mean, some of the craziest singing I've ever heard. So
yeah, all you're doing, like talking about this stuff, you're just making me want to go down to the bus and practice, which is exactly what I'm going to do. But you're just reminding me, like, yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah. Well, I hope that this chat serves as some positive motivation then.
Well, it is, but the other guys in the band are going to the steakhouse or whatever. But I'll go lock myself in the room for you, the rock and rollers.
Well, I very much appreciate that dedication.
Yeah. Right on.
Oh man. Yeah, I won't keep you too much longer. I do have a question for you that has nothing to do with Slave to the Grind, but this is a question that we've been asking everybody here at Ultimate Classic Rock that we talk to, just because we like to run different stories on them. I'm curious if you've got any stories about if you've ever met Prince or any Prince related anecdote.
Yeah. On two occasions I was in his presence. One, he did a secret club show in Amsterdam, Holland at the Paradiso Club, and somehow I got invited to it. I don't remember how that happened, but I was right in front of him, and his dancer Maite, she was dancing on stage with the band, and I had never seen a dancer as amazing as she was. She was incredible, and Prince was incredible, and that was the first time. The second time, my friend Axl Rose invited me to Versace's birthday party.
All right.
In Beverly Hills, and there's pictures of this, and I was hanging out there with Cindy Crawford and Brooke Shields and all those supermodels, and Prince was the special artist like that was jamming for Versace, and he just made a beat. He came in and made a beeline for the stage, and you walk right past him. He's a lot shorter than I am. He just went like this, and he got on stage, and then he split, and he didn't hang out at all. But it was a very intimate setting, and I'm very lucky and happy I got to see him.
Damn. What a party. What an event.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
When roughly do you know when those two shows were?
If you Google that, you probably find pictures from that night. But I think it was 2010 or.
New messages received
remember.
from John from Motor Houston.
I can't remember.
Nice, man.
It was fairly recently. You know, you're getting old when 11 years ago was recent.
Right. Seriously, man. Well, that sounds like a hell of a party. Glad you got to be there for it. Yeah, I can imagine Prince walking by you and he probably comes up to like chest height.
Yeah, he's a little dude, but what a presence.
A lot of power. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, hey, Sebastian, thanks a lot for chatting today. I'll say on one last note, you know, I've my wife recently rewatched all of Gilmore Girls and sat in on some of it, so I got to see a whole new side of you for the first time. You really rocked it as Gil.
I love making stuff, and I love, you know, that's why I laugh when guys like that I haven't seen since 1996, they'll say, "Oh, he's hard to work with." You don't work with me. Like the Gilmore Girls work with me. The Trailer Park Boys work with me. Lots of people work with me, but like on the Gilmore Girls, we had a great time making some TV shows that are still played today all over the world. Everybody has that on their TV channels, no matter what country it is I'm in. When I get to the hotel, I'll be flicking through Australia or Italy or Brazil, and there's the fucking Gilmore Girls. So it's pretty amazing that how many people dig that show, for sure.
I bet a whole lot of people during quarantine got very familiar with some of your work without even knowing what they were seeing, you know?
Well, I get recognized in different parts of town for different things I've done. Like if I go to a rock club, it's Skid Row. Mm-hmm. If I go to a shopping mall, it's Gil from the Gilmore Girls. It's girls with their moms. Are you that guy? Like that? And if I'm in Canada, without a doubt, I am recognized for the Trailer Park Boys, like without question. And walking down the street in Canada, forget it. That's like royalty.
That's a sacred text up there.
You can't even believe the fucking passion that people have in Canada for the Trailer Park Boys. So I'm a pretty lucky guy.
I love it, man. That's awesome. Well, again, thanks so much for your time, Sebastian. And
thank you. Thank you very much. Ultimate Classic Rock. I can't wait to see this.
All right, man. Enjoy those scales on the bus, and hopefully I'll see you in a couple days in San Antonio.
La 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 la.
Sounds
okay, I'm ready
good,
to go
man.
do this. All right, buddy. Thank you very much. Great talking to you guys.
Take care, brother.